that time, and I want to say he's their leading tackler, Jim, is Hooks.
So the sack back at the 20-yard line. Make it the 21, a 6-yard loss. But here's what it sets up. 4th and goal from the 21 with 3.2 seconds left. And College of DuPage uses their final timeout in the first half. It looks like they may try to set something up here for a field goal.
Well, and it almost looks like a typo is number 99 Hooks. It says here he has 77 total tackles, 22 assists, 55 solos.
27 tackles for loss.
Tell me that doesn't say 16
sacks. Yeah.
It almost looks like a typo.
Too as we were getting ready for this.
I was flipping my...
And he's got a 17th now.
Yes, he does.
And he came right up the middle on O'Hara. It seems as if, Perry, that College of DuPage doing well once they get between the 20s, but you get to the red zone and that... defensive line starts to get some pressure.
Start to make a difference.
A timeout called now by Tom Infrazzado as they want to try to ice Obzust, the kicker, on this field goal attempt as they bring him out. He is going to be just off the right hash, about 3 yards inside of that right hash. It will be a 38-yard attempt, I believe, from where the football lies for the snap.
Yep, I think you're right, Jim.
The College of DuPage, 6 out of 10 on field goal attempts this season. And we'll see if Obzust can get it through to give them a 17-point lead. The Chaparrals lead 14-0 in this one. They will have a trophy presentation at the end of the game. We will try to have the winning coach and the player of the game join us for a couple of moments. It will be spotted at the 28, so it's 38-yard attempt. Obzust puts it up and splits it right. No, he missed it.
Wide right.
He missed it wide right. I thought he got it through that right upright. Had the distance but couldn't get it through. And Mesabi Range avoids more points being put on the board. It'll be 14-0. College of DuPage the lead over Mesabi Range. This is Sports Radio America's coverage of the 2017 Red Grange Bowl, live from Glen Ellen, Illinois. Jim Tyree and Perry Williams be back with you in just a moment for some special halftime programming right here on Sports Radio America.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a nature show host.
In the native habitat of a suburban driveway, the poor victim of a broken windshield is left assessing his vehicle, utterly helpless.
Well, not true. If he's got Geico, he can file a claim online, over the phone, or with his handy mobile app.
But like a lone gazelle, he'll suddenly be left to fend for himself, awaiting his terrible fate.
Nope. Geico will assign him a designated claims team to help him out, too.
So the gazelle gets his car fixed and everything. Wow. Nature is so cool.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. When I woke up, I couldn't speak or walk.
145 over 92, and then I had a heart attack.
182 over 100, and I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest, and then a stroke. Everything changed. It felt like my life was over.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a heart attack or stroke are far from invisible or silent.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke. If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
180 over 110, and I had a stroke. And I'm 33, so I never see this coming.
If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed. Head to toe.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Sports Radio America. Sports, anytime, anywhere.
Sports Radio America's coverage of the 2017 Red Grange Bowl continues. We're at halftime. College of DuPage And Mesabi Range locked up here today. It's 14-0, College of DuPage with the early lead. We'll run down the scoring plays for you coming up a little bit later on in our halftime coverage. Right now, joining us on the air for our halftime ceremonies is retired Brigadier General Brian Laird. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
And the title is, they wanted to get the military involved here today, and you made up some presentations before the game for them. But I know you were, as I was talking with Coach Foster, they were real happy to get you involved, and I know you were happy to get involved as well.
Oh, I was honored to do it, and they asked me to speak at their banquet on Thursday night, which was a great honor to talk to both teams. A young audience that I followed the Western Michigan football coach, and as I told those guys, I didn't bring any scholarships, so I know they weren't as interested in me as they were in him. But it was great to talk about the military a little bit and to talk about college sports.
General Laird, you're from Moline, Illinois, I believe?
I live in Moline, Illinois.
And
awesome.
You went to the United States Military Academy where you were a 3-sport star.
Well, I wasn't a star, but
I'm going to say you are.
Yeah, we're going to say you are.
I'd like to say I was the best basketball player on the football team and the best football player on the basketball team.
Well said.
But I wasn't the best football player in the football team. But I was. I also like to say I was an All-American many times, because I played on the scout team mostly, and I represented some pretty good players.
That's awesome.
Perry, General Laird, he spent 30 years in the United States Army with the Special Forces, I believe. Well, not all of that 30 years.
Right. I did a variety of things over 30 years. I spent 4 years in a Special Forces group as a Green Beret, and that was one of the highlights of my career.
I'm sure it was.
But I went on to do a variety of things, and with just tremendous people everywhere I served.
And now you're president of RL Leaders. Tell us what that company is.
Well, after 9/11, the 9/11 report said there was a lack of imagination in government, particularly as they looked at threats. And so our company was formed while I was still in the government. But when I came out of the Army, I got involved with these guys, and what they do is they connect the entertainment industry back to national security, and particularly to think creatively about difficult problems and to take advantage of some of the technologies that grow up in the entertainment industry, which is got a lot of money behind it, so they fuels a lot of innovation.
Sure, yeah, and also the entertainment industry is how a lot of our national security is being attacked these days. We see incidents such as the Las Vegas incident, and of course that was a singular incident. It wasn't somebody that's linked to terrorism, but it's something that could be looked at and studied by those that would like to attack us through terrorism.
Yeah, well, that's true. And
golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Come out to the 36 beautiful hole design course by Donald Ross, and golf lessons are available by calling the team shop at 330-740-7112. Don't forget about family fun nights on Friday and Saturday evenings, a family of 4 with cart for only $25. Or visit the Wick Recreation Area and the lighted Par 3 course. Book your tee time today at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
If you are seeking a skilled photographer in Northeast Ohio with experience in capturing documentary-style photographs for various occasions such as family events, weddings, graduations, sporting events, and other special occasions, look no further than Colleen Moore Photography. Accessible via ColleenMoorePhotography.com, or she can be reached at 330-314-7547. Colleen sends her best wishes to the Mineral Ridge Rams for a fantastic season. Go Rams!
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Ohio. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to CityView Sportscast, part of the iMedia1 network. With over 30 years of experience, Madurix Butcher Block in Mineral Ridge is a quality-driven company focused on great personal service. Our fresh meats are of the finest.
To bring it all to you, it's time for Just Football with Matt Emsch. Matt was a first-time AP, all-offensive lineman with the Ursuline Irish, and three-time national champion with Youngstown State. And now, here's Matt.
And welcome to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emsch. I missed you guys. Been away for a little bit. I had a lot going on. A lot of football actually to talk about this week. For those of you not aware, we have a semi-pro football season going. 2 teams being followed on the Western Reserve Network, which includes CityView Sportscast. We have the Cleveland Cobras, that Jim Craven and the coach Bob Gessler with Dave Ferris helping keep them on the air there on Western Reserve. They are following the Cleveland Cobras, and here on CityView Sportscast, myself doing color and the combination each week changing. Play-by-play done by my high school partner Matt Lipsack, also the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms. And our own Mark Means, a local legend, over 30 years of doing radio, calling games with yours truly. We have a big game this week for the Mahoning Valley Federals, which is the team we follow, the new Youngstown semi-pro football team in the area. They have a big task ahead of them this week with the Erie Express. They are the top of the food chain in this semi-pro league, and that is who is on the docket next. It is an away game for the Federals, and they will hopefully be ready. I know they're going to be biting at the bit to play this team. You are always ready to play one of those championship type quality teams. We're going to delve into this a lot deeper here in just a minute when one of my partners, Mark Means, calls into the show. So we also wanted to real quick thank one of our title sponsor, a new one for the Federals, Klinger Trailer. We want to thank them for being a sponsor of the Federals and Just Football with Matt Emsch. I appreciate them. We have another sponsor that is going to be joining us here very soon. So we'll make that announcement when everything is sent into us and official. But we got our buddy here, Mark Means, on the line. Sir, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing okay today, and excited for another week of football. And, you and I will be together this week at the Erie Express.
Right. Interesting challenge. Erie is, one of the elite semi-pro football teams in the country. They won 2 national championships in years past. They're undefeated this year. They come off a 7-0 win over WPA that was the number 1 ranked team in the entire conference.
Yeah, they are definitely, as I just said a couple minutes ago, cream of the crop in the semi-pro league, in this league especially, and it will definitely be a big undertaking and task to compete and possibly take a win away from the Erie Express. You know, Mark, as well as I do, regardless of the fact that, unfortunately, the Federals have not won a game yet, does not mean a thing. You have to play the game.
Oh, absolutely. You have to play the game. I mean, that's what upsets are all about. I mean, you have to be mentally focused as an underdog. And I think it might even be more challenging when, you're a team that's highly favored, because you can't just, show up and coast. You still got to go out there and play the game and play it the right way and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. You got to strap it up. Now, obviously, anybody that is aware of how the seasons have been progressing, again, unfortunately for the Federals, they haven't got a win yet, but there have been bright spots through these games, the first preseason games, and in the other games that they've played. The defense has been, unfortunately at times, on the field quite a bit, but they have shown tremendous bend but not break atmosphere and attitude. They have some amazing athletes on their team, and they've definitely shown bright spots there. Another area of the game that I have been getting a better opinion about as the weeks have been progressing also is the offensive line. They seem like they are finally starting to gel a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you and I kind of talked off the air that O-line struggled in the preseason game, and you mentioned how they took some steps in the right direction in the first game, and it's one of those. I mean, I don't have to tell you as a former offensive lineman, it's about getting all those reps together. And when you're in semi-pro, things happen, family situations happen, work happens, so you might not get all those reps with that same group of 5, but the guys that have been getting the majority of them are coming along.
Yeah, they are. They are. It sometimes takes an entire season. Again, everybody that is not aware, semi-pro, these guys are not being paid. The coaching staff, they're doing everything out of the goodness of their hearts and the love of the game. Also, the players, and you have a group of guys ranging. The age range, I believe, is 18 to 33. In fact, we have a little news we'll talk about on Saturday. There is a couple new players coming, and one of them is in his 50s. He is 54 years old. We will talk about that pre-game this week. I'll go over that with you off the air. I want it to be a little more of a surprise who exactly it is. So we got a grandpa on the team. Definitely been there, done that. And
if
apparently,
they're over the most, they qualify as grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. The 33-year-old was grandpa. So this guy, you'll know the name, and others will. And apparently, he is in incredible shape. He's going to be able to bring that mental capacity to the team, the discipline, the been there, done that. But a couple of players I wanted to mention real quick. I have to because they've just been lights out, Mark. The number one brightest spot on the team who I have, me and Matt last week called his name all game, and we did with you and I as well. George Freeman Jr., defensive end out of Glenville High School, has just been absolutely incredible. His number is number 8. Number 9, David Pringle, who's the other defensive end, has absolutely been phenomenal. And then we have another player. Let's see here. I got him. He is DeAndre Stevens, number 29, a defensive tackle. He has been a monster. So defensively, these guys have just really turned it on.
Yeah, that front has played exceptionally well, especially the two ends, because, you look at him and you're like, okay, he's not very big. He might not be very big, but he's quick. He beats the opposition off the ball, and, he's been wreaking havoc in the backfield.
Oh, wreaking havoc in the backfield on the offensive line. 2 weeks in a row, bigger offensive lines than defensive lines. But you know what? He just has that speed. He has those moves. He has the discipline. And right behind him, like I just mentioned, David Pringle, ironically, number 8 and number 9, they've been phenomenal. So, but jumping into some of the areas that need to definitely be addressed right away, turnovers first jumps out at me, Mark.
Yeah, you have a young quarterback who was just playing high school ball last year. I know a couple of different guys have played in the first few games, but it's one of those where, and we talked to the coaching staff after week 1. you have to make a decision at this level, and you have to make it quickly. And it's one of those, you just kind of have to live with it. You might not have an opportunity for your second or third read. You just got to take that shot if it's there pretty quickly.
You do. And, you got to get rid of the ball. You touched on some of those, and I apologize about my dog. I'm doing that. One of the beauties of media this day, I don't have to be at the station. I'm at home right now. So if anybody hears my dog barking at her nemesis, the squirrel in the background, I apologize. But yeah, Mark, I agree. Got to get rid of the ball. Got to, get those also other issues going on mentally about, we have holding on to the ball too long, that as well, or what you just addressed, but getting out of bounds, just staying in bounds too often. Also, defensively, one of the negatives, spots on the defense, if you're going to point out one of the positions that aren't as bright right now, there's been definitely, last week we had, just to say, the Federals had 3 interceptions in the defensive backfield, which was amazing. But one of the negatives in the backfield that I've had issue with is whiffing of tackles, head not up, not following through. And if you're gonna miss a tackle, it happens. Pros miss it. But the only problem, get up and pursue. Don't smack yourself on the head and just walk back. So that part of it.
Yeah, it's about staying in the play and staying mentally locked in. Sure, you're upset you miss a tackle, or you get beat on a route, or whatever it may be defensively, but when you keep locked in, good things like that happen. Go back to the game you and I did on the one long screen pass for touchdown. If it wasn't for 2 blocks by the same receiver, he got 1 block, then he got a second block further downfield. If he didn't keep both of those blocks, they wouldn't have scored on that play.
No, they wouldn't have scored. And, you make great points all around. It's a lot of, I don't want to say little things and not, make a point of how serious that they are, but it is a lot of the little things that, you're supposed to learn when you're younger and in high school. And if these guys made it to college, it's definitely addressed by then. My opinion, a lot of these guys go back to the basics, go back to how you learn the game, and just go over things. One of the things that occurred in the game was a shocker to everybody. There was an opening kickoff to the Federals, and one of the players that was in there to return, which I just found out this week from Mike Benner, the director of football operations, that one of the players that were supposed to return the kickoffs was getting a helmet fix. So somebody who wasn't even supposed to be in just took it upon himself to inject himself as one of the returners. Well, when the ball was kicked, it hit the ground and ran and rolled right in front of him. He ran from the ball.
Yeah, that's not a punt. That's a live ball.
Correct.
And we've seen that before. I saw it in a game last year where the exact same thing happens, and that one actually ended up being the margin of difference in the football game.
Yeah, it definitely is, and can cause, havoc. Mark, if you'd hold on, we're going to take a little break and we'll keep going.
Okay.
All right, everybody. This is Just Football. I'm Matt Emsch. We'll be right back.
Cryptid Creatures. Find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hi, it's Brian. Join me and my co-host Todd as we investigate those things that go bump in the night. We'll talk to real people who have had real face-to-face encounters.
There's 2 of them across the creek at the big rocks.
With cryptid beings. From Bigfoot to aliens to even demons. By the end, you'll be asking, do I believe? Cryptid Creatures. Find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you tired of settling for mediocre wings at sky-high prices? Belleria Niles has some of the best wing prices in Trumbull County, with 12 wings for $10 with over 15 flavors to choose from. Mention this show Just Football with Matt Emsch with your order and receive a free cheese puff until January 31st. Belleria at 602 Robbins Avenue, Niles, Ohio. 330-544-FOOD. That's 330-544-FOOD. Belleria, we sell taste one bite at a time.
Do you crave mysteries? Are you fascinated by the unexplained? Then summon your courage and plunge into the deep, dark abyss of what lurks beneath. A YouTube channel that dives into the unexplained, the supernatural, eyewitness reports, and more. The real question is, can you handle the truth? Simply search What Lurks Beneath on YouTube, if you think you're brave enough.
From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to CityView Sportscast, part of the iMedia1 network.
And welcome back to Just Football. I'm Matt Emsch. He's Mark Means, and we're back on the subject of the Mahoning Valley Federals and the semi-pro team in Youngstown. Mark, you and I had a little conversation, actually, real quick, I'll bet, before the show. You had something you said you wanted to talk about.
So you remember when we were younger, and we're about the same age, always around this time of the year, maybe a little later, I would always get excited for a Lindy's College Football Preview magazine.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those you couldn't wait to see. Well, Grove City's conference on their social media today tweeted out a picture of the Division III preseason poll from Lindy's. And, it's not like, this isn't Steve's top three or anything. This is Lindy's. This is a national publication.
Right.
There are 3 teams ranked in the preseason top 25 from Grove City's conference. Carnegie Mellon comes in at number 25. WNJ, Washington and Jefferson, the presidents, are number 21. And how about the Grove City Wolverines, Matt? Preseason ranked number 11 in the country in D3 football.
That absolutely is phenomenal. It is deserved. And my opinion, if you want mine, being that they lost by 1 point to the eventual national champion, I think they should be in the top 10, but 11 ain't too shabby.
No, top 3, if you're curious, North Central is number 1, the Purple Raiders of Mount Union number 2, and Cortland, the defending national champions, the team Grove City lost to in that second round game, is number 3.
Yeah, that's very respectful. They deserve it. Of course, years of, having unfortunate seasons, struggling. But now for people that do not follow Grove City or are not in the know, Grove City, as you just heard, lost to the eventual national champs last year, Division III NCAA football, and they have an amazing staff who I am just beyond impressed with, and that program has reached new heights, and I think it's just the beginning. I know it is.
And it definitely feels like it. I mean, we saw a future Grove City Wolverine on Thursday when you and I were at the Mahoning Valley Coaches Association, Jack Arvin High School All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perry there from Howland, the big lefty, who threw an absolute dime for a touchdown for Trumbull County. So, it's exciting to see things like that. And the program, it was rough early on when I was doing games for them. They had a 30-plus game losing streak, but that is most definitely in the past now.
Oh, without a doubt. And I truly mean this. You had mentioned that they have out of conference this year. They're playing the national champs from last year.
Next year,
I apologize.
Right, yeah. The out-of-conference schedule begins for the PAC, returns for the PAC next year. You and I even talked about it. They go to divisional play with North and South divisions starting in 2025.
Yeah, you want to go over that with everybody? Let them know what those changes are?
You know what? I don't actually have the divisions in front of me, But yeah, they're going to go to where it'll be divisional play. The first couple weeks of the season, you'll have an opportunity to play up to 2 non-conference games. And then weeks 3 through 10 will be your 5 other teams in your division and 2 crossover games with the opposite division. Then the last week of the regular season will be a conference championship game between the top 2 teams, North and South. And then the rest of the games will fall out where 2 from the North will play 2 from the South unless they've already met during the regular season. And since this will be another regular season game, they will reshuffle so you don't play the same team twice.
Yeah, definite changes in the near future. You and I always discuss strength of schedule and out of conference play, and you can't get any better than bringing the defending national champs in next year in out of conference play. The only way they are going to keep improving, obviously the conference has improved, making them a better practice team entering the playoffs after what they did this past year. But if you keep playing these upper tier schools and you're out of conference play, I would love to see you guys. We talked about this on the sidelines at the MVCA All-Star game. I'd love to see you guys play Mountain Union in the regular season.
I mean, that would be interesting. I can't tell you anything about that, but it's one of those where it's a team in your backyard. It would be pretty exciting. I mean, and I know it's a different level, but it just goes to show you, here's a perfect example. Look at what the Cobras did this year in the Tri-Point. They played 2 of the best teams in the country in Michigan in 2 exhibition games. And they got beat pretty handily both of those games. But they've come out this year and they've won their first 2 Tri-Point games.
Yep.
And they're going to play in Tuscarawas County, who you saw last week, this week. And then they play Erie, who you and I are going to see Saturday next week.
Yeah.
Scheduling up in the non-conference gets you prepared for conference play. I don't care if it's semi-pro, high school, college, whatever it is. It makes you better.
100%. I could not have said it better myself. And the Cobras not only have won those regular season games last week, I believe it was 27-0. So it was a thrashing. So it will be interesting to see, because the Cobras and the Federals will be playing this season at the Fed's home side or home stadium. It will be interesting to see how the Cobras fare against the 2 teams that they played. So it'll be really interesting, and that will definitely be a fun game for us, as it will be a double header game for Western Reserve and CityView Sportscast, a dueling, broadcaster type of game, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. That game's going to be a lot of fun. That's, a couple weeks down the road, but I'm looking forward to see how they play against Erie on Saturday.
Absolutely, Mark. I want to thank you for being here, brother. Can't wait for Saturday. Thanks, man. I can't wait to have you again.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye. We will be right back, everybody. Special guest coming up. This is Just Football.
Are you tired of settling for mediocre wings at sky-high prices? Belleria Niles has some of the best wing prices in Trumbull County, with 12 wings for $10 with over 15 flavors to choose from. Mention this show, Just Football with Matt Emsch, with your order and receive a free cheese puff until January 31st. Belleria at 602 Robbins Avenue, Niles, Ohio. 330-544-FOOD. That's 330-544-FOOD. Belleria, we sell taste one bite at a time.
Do you crave mysteries? Are you fascinated by the unexplained? Then summon your courage and plunge into the deep, dark abyss of what lurks beneath. A YouTube channel that dives into the unexplained, the supernatural, eyewitness reports, and more. The real question is, can you handle the truth? Simply search What Lurks Beneath on YouTube, if you think you're brave enough.
In the Valley, football is king, and the Mahoning Valley Federals are looking to build the 2024 roster with talent forged in this area to compete for a Tri-Point Football League championship. If you're 18 and older and looking to return to the gridiron, call General Manager John Galbraith at 330-540-1099 or visit the team on Facebook at Mahoning Valley Federals Developmental Football. The Mahoning Valley Federals, honoring the football tradition in the Valley. From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to CityView Sportscast, part of the iMedia1 network.
And welcome back to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emsch. I want to thank Mark Means for coming on the show earlier. It's going to be an exciting game this weekend with the Mahoning Valley Federals and the Erie Express up in PA. We want to go to the phone lines now. We have a special guest on, a good friend of mine. His name is John Keel, and he is a big old burly lineman brother of mine. John, how are you, sir? Jeff Keel. Jeff, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you John.
Man, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I want to correct that there. The reason I said John is I have John Galbraith written in front of me. He is the owner of the Federals. I was just reading a message from him. Jeff, I apologize. You and I have known each other for a long time here. You, ex-offensive lineman. You went to Richmond University. Did you want to, real quick, give me a abridged bio for everybody here?
Yeah, Matt, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been maybe 12 years, I think, that we've known each other, maybe longer. I was born in the Valley, but I grew up in Baltimore. Ended up going to high school in Baltimore and was recruited to Richmond in 1986 and played there for 4 years, graduated in 1990. So the 80s are a bit in the rear view at this point, but, it was a few years before you played, but, that's how I ended up getting to the University of Richmond and playing 4 years on the offensive line.
Well, just to let everybody know, Jeff is as I said, a big old lineman. He's about 6 foot, 6'5" at least.
Maybe at one time I think I shrunk to 6'4".
We do shrink 100%. I was 6'4" and I'm just under 6'4". So, I'm a tall guy, and Jeff has got me by an inch at least. But I wanted to bring you on because, I've been wanting to lately. I value your opinion in many, many things, but, especially you and I, when we put our two heads together in the game of football, I would challenge us against anybody. And, I wanted to talk about a few things today, about what's going on in the sport. And one of the things I'm actually interested in knowing your opinion about right now is this transfer portal situation going on in the NCAA.
Yeah, well, it's changing the game. It's not the game you and I played. It's changed even in the past few years as we knew it. It's becoming more like an NFL light. Mm-hmm. And I think the beauty of college football is that at some levels we played at the FCS level, you had playoffs, so you had a different route to a national championship. At the highest level, though, you had the bowl system, and you could sort of see it coming. There was always a clamor for, hey, we have to have playoffs. We have to know the national championship, the champion is, but for years, that was always the fun topic in the offseason. Who was actually the national champion? And it created a great sort of different spirit around the game. And then think about it. I mean, you had all these teams that were regionally involved in these fantastic rivalries that are just gone. They don't matter anymore. We've just sort of made college football, we put it out there to the highest bidder. And now regional rivalries, they may not even exist. I mean, how is the I think it's called the Apple Cup. How's that going to continue with Washington and Washington State? Washington's in the Big Ten. I don't think they're going to worry about at the end of the year risking injury in the Apple Cup anymore. I don't think that's going to matter. Same with Oregon. Same with a lot of these. I mean, these are great rivalries we grew up with. I think that's the biggest problem. We've lost the tradition and the pageantry of a sport, and we've sort of made it a minor league for the NFL, which never existed. There was no minor league for the NFL. Now I think we have one.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And they used to talk about mega conferences. I mean, these are like multiverse sized conferences they're turning out to be. And I agree, if it does turn out that way, that, these just legendary rivalries disappear. And, I'm of the mind and of the heart that I hope that the powers that be don't allow these old, almost mythological rivalries to disappear. I really have a belief. Hopefully they won't. If they do let them go, then that's disgusting and despicable. But definitely has turned into a minor NFL farm team kind of thing.
Right.
Also keeping on the subject of this portal, what is your opinion about this situation of not only can these players, leave a school, but they can leave as many times as they want to, the following season. What's your thought on that?
Well, going back to your point real quick. So I'm going to go back to when you said they. I'm not sure who they is. I think the NCAA lost control of college football a long time ago. I think the conferences run the show now. And so you basically have the big two, maybe the big three conferences. They're pretty much going to run the show, and they're going to put things out to the highest bidder, because we're looking at, it's a business. I don't think it always was a business. I think the NCAA kept it, a non-professional league. At this point, I don't know how you rein it in. I don't know how you change that. So I think it's changed for good. And I don't see any entity like the NCAA stepping in and taking charge, because you just you're not going to knock that over. I think with players, they become free agents, and some of them can make money before they even play a down on a football field. They can just build a reputation through, whether it's earned or not. Let's assume that it's earned on a high school football field somewhere, which is fine. They've earned that. But now, because they're so well known through social media and through media presence in general, they can command money before they've even gotten to school. And so who are we to say now, well, but you can only transfer once? I mean, if you had a governing body, you'd have had control of this. It's out of control now. I mean, there's really nothing you can do to rein it in, unless there was maybe some government group that jumped in and said, hey, we're destroying a huge part of the fabric of the American South, the American Midwest, and the United States as a whole. College football went from being a part of our culture to being a huge business. And again, this happens to a lot of things, and that's fine. You live in a free country, but you're sort of ruining the reason people went to the games. And you've seen it. I think in some leagues, some big leagues, you've seen attendance is down, TV viewership is down in some places. It's a big business, and it's starting to become the reason it was so big. You're starting to lose the reason it became so popular.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Obviously, with the almighty dollar being in control, and that has control of it. The leagues basically, and the conferences basically tell as you just brought up, the NCAA what's what, because there's just so much money in it. And just like the pharmaceutical companies and other big business, the government really, unless something is so extreme, will not step in and do anything.
Well, there's probably reasons that they don't.
They make their cut.
They're getting their cut, right? You take care of those in charge, and then they have the say so, quote unquote. They're going to go along with the program. So, just like with the government allowing big business to run roughshod over small business and over the individual, they're doing the same in this sport. And again, what happens is you ruin the reason it was so popular. But really, it's the TV. On when we were kids, there was one game on Saturday afternoon to watch college football, and as I said, I grew up in Baltimore. The Northeast was not a big college football area. It was just something you passed the time with. It wasn't like in Ohio or other parts of the country, college football. But I do remember there was an ABC game, and you were lucky if it was your regional game, or they might have had 2 or 3 games. But now you have college football on Tuesdays. If you're looking at some of these MAC conference schools, you have college football pretty much all week.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Which is fine. It's just a lot of exposure. Mm-hmm. And with that exposure comes ad time.
Right.
And with the eyes on the TV comes expensive ad time. So, that's ultimately what's driving it, is the exposure to media, the exposure to advertising. That's what's driving the size of the business that is just college football. Not to mention the NFL, which is, a professional league. Mm-hmm. But I know people who, they didn't like the NFL for a lot of the same reasons, because it became generic. There were no teams that they made it so that, any team could win each year, which is competitive and interesting to a degree. But I would say that because it's a little bit more controlled, it's starting to become, to me, almost more interesting again than college football. That's for me. Maybe not everybody would agree with that, but I look at the way the sport has evolved. College football itself, at its purest level, maybe the FCS and down is still a pure version of the sport, but at the highest level, it's become a minor league for the NFL, as we both agreed.
Again, obviously, as you just said, we both agree. Let's go back to that second question I had for you. In the portal, this now ability of these players to not only leave a school, if they just want to, after a year, they can leave again, and then another year, go somewhere else. What's your opinion on that?
Well, is it serving the player? Is this something that is a positive for a player? What are they trying to accomplish? When less than, and I don't know what the stat is, but it's a very small percentage of these players are going to play at the next level. What are we really doing, allowing them to move like that? I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just trying to say, is this the best thing for the? It's definitely not the best thing for the programs. You can't run a program. You can't develop players. It's basically a free agent system.
Yep.
It's not good for the programs. You're going to lose interest. There's just going to be less of that whole tradition, pageantry, the whole thing. It's just going to continue to evolve away. But are the players benefiting from this? What are they gaining from this? And also too, I'd have to ask, what are the percentage of players doing this as we speak? I don't know if you have a feel for that. I don't offhand.
I don't have numbers on that one. So that is a newer rule that is going to come in effect in the next season starting, where they'll be able to leave, it's going to be coming up. It will be interesting to see, I look at this, the old adage, like when you and I played, you could leave a school and go elsewhere, but it'd be a year, and then you're there, and you got to reconstruct everything. Now it's going to be a lot of kids I went to Ohio State. I was supposed to start after a year. Somebody else is still starting. I'm leaving. I go to Michigan. I get to Michigan. I was told I was going to start. I'm not starting. I would start in 2 years, and who knows, this could be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, another Tom Brady, and he is, because he's upset that he's not starting when he was told. He leaves again. So we're getting on the subject also of what you just talked about, damaging the programs and not being able to develop these football players. But what you're also getting is there will be situations where it's good. I agree with, well, how is it serving the players? You got guys that will go, they'll leave, and they'll start somewhere else.
Sure. And I think that certain positions are going to be, they're going to benefit. Certain players are going to benefit from being able to move around. Just like the example you gave is great. So that's taking the other side of this. For a player who comes out as a 5-star recruit, they end up at a big time program. They can't start, but boy, all of a sudden, Ohio State has 3 quarterbacks who could start anywhere. Well, maybe Indiana doesn't, and so they could use him right away. Now all of a sudden he's a star. In that way, it's great for the players. Is it serving the majority of players? Is it helping players get to? I go back to my original point. That's fine if we have now accepted the fact that this is just football or minor league football for the NFL. If that's what we're doing, we're just getting players to get a look and be able to get noticed. Is it really the same sport? And let's just accept it and move on and say it's not. At a certain point, why even go through the exercise of having to go to class, right? Why don't we just back it off and say, hey, you know what? You just play for the team. You don't even have to go to class. There may be some schools have been, they haven't been honest about that part of the student athlete part of it anyway, but let's just back off on that. Okay, now you know what? Let's just have a professional team that represents that school. So it's a slippery slope. I don't know where it ends. And maybe there are some points where it does benefit the kids. But for the entire thing that is college football at that level, you keep doing that, it's not going to be as interesting. It's going to be interesting for a different reason. And so you may as well just pay them, and you may as well just call it a minor league, because these aren't student athletes anymore. Are they taking their credits and going? At the end of the day, after 4 years, the guy played at 3 places. Let's say it didn't work out. Back in our day, you didn't transfer. It was considered sort of, hey, this is a really extreme situation. I'll transfer.
Yep.
It was always said, hey, you're better off staying where you are. Now today, you're better off leaving.
Yep.
If you don't start right away, so you can get that look. So again, it may help some players. That's why I said, is it good for the players? Is this going to serve some of those players? How many does it serve? And is it good for the game? We've sort of lost that in our country. Everyone's out for themselves, which again, that's fine, but you can't be someone who, has everything, takes the lion's share of everything, and then ruins the town they live in, right? You have to have support. You're still going to have to go and live in that town and have people who also work in that town and perform services that you don't do. We've lost that whole concept.
Yeah.
We just, hey, look, I'll take care of me, and then I'll move to somewhere else, and I'll go with I don't care what I ruin in the behind me. But the thing is, the platform is being hurt. The platform of college football is being hurt. So even if a few players do get a benefit from it, is it better for a few players to do well but ruin the whole concept of what college football was? Why don't we just change it and make it the minor leagues?
Yeah, I agree with you. And you touched on something which is an absolute, must not ignore. It's like less than 1% to make it to the NFL.
Right. And that percentage, how many of them stick to more than 2 or 3 seasons?
Yeah.
I think, you and I knew a lot of guys that ended up on a practice squad, ended up playing a few games, especially, if there might have been a strike in that season. This goes back to the 80s. A lot of guys got the chance to play on teams that were the strike teams. But even guys I knew that got to play 8 to 10 years, it was a pretty small percentage out of all the people I played with since Little League.
Yeah,
Not that many.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, they need to have a future.
Well, that's it too. But are we sending kids to college to play football, or are we sending football players to college to get an education? And I'm all for the idea. I got a scholarship. I earned it playing football, practicing every day, and that's pretty much full year. That's all year you're doing something. You earn it. But I also was there to get an education. I probably was as much a frustrated tight end as an offensive lineman than I was an offensive lineman. But I knew how I was going to go and earn a scholarship, because that was the only way I was going to pay for that school.
Right.
So I think that that part of the game has to be considered, and at most levels of football it is. I mean, most guys who go to play at Youngstown or Richmond. I heard you mentioning the league that Grove City's in, Washington Jefferson, Division 2 or 3. Most of those guys assume they're probably not going to play for the Steelers or the Browns. I get it. Most of us didn't. I don't. Probably maybe 2 or 3 people on our team played at that level, and only one played for a number of years, who I played with at Richmond. And so the majority of, I think, are realistic. We're probably not going to do that. We're there for an education. So, it'd be interesting to see what that actual percentage is, and if most players understand that going in, while they're transferring all over the place and not taking advantage of, hey, while I'm here, I may as well get an education.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah. We have about 2.5 minutes left here, Jeff. I wanted to ask you real quick, what's your opinion on these kids getting money now? Because we didn't get anything except for a little money in our pocket.
Yeah, well, we weren't even allowed to have a part-time job.
No.
Right. So, and most people weren't wealthy enough to be able to get, a stipend from their parents, at least nothing that would allow you to live much differently than other students. And I'm not saying you should have gotten something, from parents, or you're supposed to be given anything. But I think the problem is that when you say, well, you have to live like the other students. Well, okay, but I'm not allowed to go work. They are. So it is a little different. But, you're getting a free education. Okay, but I don't have cash. So I've always felt like, hey, a little bit of spending money, there has to be some amount maybe that you could do. The problem is now the lid's off. Now it's not about spending money. It's gone well beyond that. It's that you could earn as much as you can earn. And so that's the whole other end of the spectrum. I think there was a place to do that. If you had again, going back to my original point, if you had a stronger governing body that would have said, wait a minute, we're not turning these players into professional athletes. We're going to give them a certain amount of money, and we're going to agree upon it. And every school you go to, it's the same amount. I don't care if you go to, Grove City or you go to Ohio State. You're going to get this amount as a player, and that would have been it. And you cut it off. But the NCAA lost control years ago, at least in college football.
They really did. It's what are you going to do? It's a darn shame. Jeff, I really had a blast having you on.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
I would love to have you on again. So,
by all means, I'm all for it.
All right, sir. You have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, man. Take care.
You too.
Experience nature's bounty with Creation's Backyard. Elevate your health with the most nutrient-dense foods on earth. From farm to table, sustainably cultivated with care. Grown locally in Niles, Ohio with no chemicals or synthetics ever. Unlock your culinary creativity with Creation Backyard Microgreens. Convenient local delivery and pickup options available. Order now at creationsbackyard.com or call 330-282-7208.
In the Valley, football is king, and the Mahoning Valley Federals are looking to build the 2024 roster with talent forged in this area to compete for a Tri-Point Football League championship. If you're 18 and older and looking to return to the gridiron, call General Manager John Galbraith at 330-540-1099 or visit the team on Facebook at Mahoning Valley Federals Developmental Football. The Mahoning Valley Federals, honoring the football tradition in the Valley.
today. SNK, painting your house
SNK Painting provides exceptional painting and refinishing services to the Mahoning Valley and surrounding communities by being an industry leader in our field, focusing on customer service and delivering extraordinary results. We offer interior and exterior painting, and we specialize in cabinet refinishing with affordable cabinet solution. Call SNK Painting for your free estimate at 330-505-1910.
painting your house today.
From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to CityView Sportscast, part of the iMedia1 network.
And welcome back to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emps. We want to thank Jeff Keel for being on that last segment. A great friend of mine, great tight end at Richmond University, a fellow offensive lineman, and just a great all-around person. We're going to go right to the phone lines again. We got my partner, Matt Lipsack, on the line. How you doing, Lipper?
Good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. You know, we had what? Oh, who do we got in the background?
Alexis is here eating her dinner. She just finished her little post daycare nap because we were team no nap at daycare today on our first day back from vacation.
Well, it's always a pleasure to hear her. How was is it Great Wolf Lodge?
Great Wolf Lodge out in Sandusky.
Yeah, how was it?
It was a good time.
Good.
It was a good time. You know, I got probably 7,000 or 8,000 steps in and 10 flights of stairs on Monday. So, you know, not exactly a relaxing. I guess there were moments of relaxation in the hot tub, but a lot of work put in on Monday too while we ran around the resort playing games.
Well, hey, at least you had a good time. You got good exercise as well. You and I both talked about getting in better shape for the games and getting the stadium steps in and everything. So that's a positive. Speaking of games, when we had a game last week with the Mahoning Valley Federals with the Tuscarawas Warriors, I wanted to go over that with you. You know, definitely not one of the better outings for the Federals.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, the defense, you know, did everything that it could do. You know, really only, I guess there were the two big plays, but really, you know, nothing as far as a sustained drive really for Tuscarawas County before, you know, the Federals defense finally, you know, able to, you know, bend but not break, you know, a couple of big plays. You know, a couple of times the special teams put them in bad spots. A couple of times the offense put them in bad spots. But I mean, really only giving up 3 touchdowns to what was appeared to be a very good Tuscarawas County squad. You know, something that defense can kind of hang its head on a little bit, but the offense and the special teams lagging behind right now for the Federals.
It is, you know, I mean, you know, I want to touch on it absolutely. You know, we will obviously going to go over some of the negatives that need improvement, but I really want to focus on right this minute now about some of those bright spots. And my God, there's a few players on the defense that are just playing so heads above everybody else. It's hard to believe that they're on a winless team right now. George Freeman Jr., defensive end out of Glenville High School, who is without a doubt the best player in my opinion, especially on defense, maybe on the whole team. You have number 9, his number's 8, number 9, David Pringle, the other defensive end, has had a tremendous outing. And then you have, let's see, DeAndre Stevens, number 29 at DT. So that D line has just been lights out.
I know how much you love your guys in the trenches.
Yeah.
Pringle and Freeman have absolutely been putting on a show here through 2 weeks of regular season play for the Federals. I'm just, you know, looking over the stats that I have. See, I've got Freeman with 4 sacks and Pringle with 1 through 2 games. Those are very nice numbers.
And a bunch of pressures.
Bunch of pressures. And really, Matt, we haven't really seen anybody try to run the ball. And I don't know if that's just a function of, okay, maybe this is a passing league and teams know that they can beat teams over the top. Maybe it's a function of teams understand that the Federals are maybe a little bit weaker in the defensive backfield. But, the D-line, they're eating down there, Matt. They're eating good.
Yes, they are. They are doing very well. It's very impressive to see. We've seen a lot of problems in that defensive backfield. Now, there are some things going on still, getting beat on big pass plays, whiffing of tackles, not getting up and pursuing. But we did see some bright spots. Just so happens 3 interceptions last week.
Yeah, 3 interceptions last week, 4 on the season for the Federals. So it's not like the backfield there is all doom and gloom. I mean, of the 2 long plays that the Warriors had this past Saturday down in Midvale, the 88-yard touchdown pass, a lot of missed tackles on that one, and that ball was only thrown about 2 to 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. 60-yard touchdown on a go route where the ball probably went a good 20 to 40 yards in the air. Okay, that one I can put, on the defensive backfield. You got beat off the line and nobody was there over the top. But, on the 88-yard touchdown, there's plenty of blame to go around on that one. I think there are probably 3 or 4 good missed tackles on that one. Obviously, Shawnee Gates made a play for the Warriors, and credit to him, he made 2 very big plays, obviously, for Tuscarawas Valley, but still, there are plays there to be made for the Federals, and as we've said a couple of times, we understand that it's a new team; they're trying to come together, but fundamentals, making tackles, those need to be there, especially at this age for some of these ball players.
Absolutely. And if you would just hold on, Maddie, for 30 seconds, I have to take 1 30-second break, and we will finish up right after that.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody, we will be right back after this 30 seconds.
Clinger Trailer is your home for drop-down rampless motorcycle trailers. The rampless feature drops the trailer bed to street level, reducing the risk of damage from falling off of a ramp. Clinger Trailer also manufactures enclosed drop-down trailers for 1 or 2 motorcycles, snowmobiles, or jet skis. Our smallest American-made trailers can haul 3,500 pounds and are available in a variety of colors. Clinger Trailer design specialists are available at 219-200-2136 to help you build your new trailer today. And remember, you'll only have to ever purchase 1 Clinger.
And we're right back, everybody. Thanks, Maddie, for waiting there. We got about, let's see here, we got about 2 minutes left. Talking about the offense, obviously, the first part of the game, definitely the first 3 quarters, DeMattis was in at quarterback. Some improvement, definitely, but holding onto the ball still a little too long, not throwing it out of bounds, some turnovers. He had, however, somebody come in for him in the second half, and there was a giant spark.
Yeah, Miguel Burgess played the second half of that game on Saturday, 4 for 9 for 109 and a touchdown. I think it was a 50-yard completion, if I am not
I believe
terribly
so.
mistaken. I think it was Jazir Graham. I mean, probably was Jazir Graham because Jazir Graham has the most receiving yards. Second most. Ezel Brown has 98. Jazir Graham checking in with 86 receiving yards through 2 weeks. But I mean, really comparatively, Matt, when you look at overall at the numbers, Mahoning Valley, 462 yards from scrimmage. The opponents have 471 yards. So the offense is right there. Through 2 games, they just haven't found a way to put the ball in the end zone yet.
Yeah, they have had a few bites of the turnover bug, if you will. That has definitely been what's killing them offensively. They put together many beautiful series in the last couple weeks and just can't get it in the end zone. You know, you get 3 turnovers last week from your defense, 3 picks, and you get 0 points off of it. You have to get some points off of those turnovers. So, it is what it is. You got to get it better.
Gotta find a way to put points on the board, man. That is the name of the game.
Well, this week we are away. I'll miss you, brother. We're at the Erie Express, but I will see you soon.
I'll see you on the 22nd in Youngstown.
All right, brother. Take care. That was Matt Lipsack. I'm Matt Emsch. This is Just Football. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time.
From high school.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil. $15 is the best I can do. You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well,